So I'm here with my beautiful, wizardy, magical friend, Tien Noe Eamas. Now, Tien's a really special human being to me. He's the wonderful wizard. We have worked across tables at many a psychic fair. And I do think there's been a few times where we're wishing to not get clients because we're having so much fun giggling together.
Absolutely. Totally. We're like, oh my God, now I got to go back and deal with all the people and take their money. But I just want to hang out with you.
Yeah, I know. And we share our lunches. And you've built two decks, right? No, you have a third one out now.
I actually have two decks. And then, my third deck has not been published yet. And at some point, that will all start to go. But there's just so much creation going on, right? That it's got to prioritize and just let the universe look after that with very clear intentions. That's going to happen, and who knows when? Who knows? Maybe in a year, because I think we can definitely take some action steps around that more clearly in the next few months.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're one of the people I know. You inspire me because you're always creating something. You're always creating something. You are a silversmith. And you mix alchemy in with your smithing. So you've made some of my favorite pieces that I own. And some of my girlfriends and boyfriends, they love your pieces.
Fantastic. Yes. Yeah. It's all about intentionality, right? And as you say, creation is really the only reason to be here. We have to actually create our lives.
Yes.
That's why it is all magical, because unlike the muggle brain, the muggle humans think that life happens to them, and that they have to endure and suffer and then die. That's the common modality of what life is supposed to be. But when we actually are clear about our soul's purpose here on earth, whatever it is, you may not even know it, but it doesn't matter. You just create. Creating means making a bunch of stuff up. That's all it means. I'm just gonna do this today. Okay, I'll do this today, and I'll do this today, and then of course, as muggles, our life work is to really come from a pure place of, God, I really want to do this, and you make it up, as opposed to, I want to do this, but la 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 la. I'm too poor, I'm too old, I've had such a hard life, la 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 la, and then you never ever create it because you're just stuck in your past, right? So that's the actual enlightenment process, is to really complete that past and be so present now that you're willing to just go. Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so because you're very creative, my brain's already turning. So let's speak to that. Let's speak to all the people in the earbud coven, not the people who are stuck in, I'm too old, I'm too crunchy, I can't do that. What about the people who are in a place where they don't feel traditionally artistic or capable of creating? Because I think there's a lot of people in the world who they haven't tapped into what it is they have to offer because they can't paint, they can't sculpt. Right? They're not a prolific songwriter or poet. So, because I know you do a lot of mentoring and teaching. So can you talk to those people listening?
Well, first of all, we seem to have an impression that creation and or creativity only exists in those artistic and cultural realms, which is not true. Creation, the energy of creation is about giving birth to something new. That's what creation is. It's not, I have to pick up pen and draw this amazing face. No, that's just one aspect, or that's just one expression of creation. Creation can be anything from, I'm gonna talk to this person and together we're gonna create a great project. So we can plant this community garden, or I'm going to create this project because look at this floor right now. It's really ugly. So I'm going to create
Yes.
making a prettier floor by fixing it. I'm going to create something. Creation simply means doing something new.
I love that. When because I know you read cards too. When I read tarot cards, I hit that when I tell people they're creative. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, no, 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 I'm not. I'm like, no, 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 you have an engineer's mind. You think
That's right.
outside of the box. You
Yeah.
problem solve. And a lot of our creative culture or collective culture, sorry, doesn't recognize that creative problem solving,
Yeah.
or even like you said, laying a new tile floor in your bathroom, you are
Yeah.
changing your world. You're creating something new.
Yeah. Creating something new is not limited at all to an artistic expression.
Mhm.
Creating something new could be somebody who might be tech inclined, putting in some new, whatever formula, right, to create that app. That's creating something new.
Yeah.
Creating something new could be darning your socks.
Except we all hate doing that.
I don't know how to darn socks, but I know
You
that
don't? Oh
exists.
my God, it's not
I
hard.
don't know the hole, and I don't know how to patch. Tell me to patch a drywall, sure. I don't know how to patch a hole in the sock. I do know how to sew, but I'm like, I don't understand
That,
socks.
that's why I'm surprised because because some of the stuff you've worn, I know you've created it, like you've sewn it or you've tailored it or you've zhuzhed it a bit. So yeah, you could if you chose to figure it out. Maybe you just don't want to choose to figure out how to darn a
Yeah, yeah,
sock.
no, whatever. Someone else. No, I'll just get my friend to do it. I don't know. There's certain areas, right? But that's where we have free will and choice.
Yeah.
You go, yeah, I know that's not fun. Whatever. I'll fix those pants, sure, but I don't want to fix that hat. I'll just give that to somebody who knows how to fix that better. That's all.
I like that. And what I like too is I love how inclusive you are around the idea of creativity because you are not gatekeeping creativity and you are a for real artist. Like you draw
Mhm,
your decks yourself.
mhm. Yeah.
You take metal, little hunks of metal, and you create these beautiful,
Mhm,
beautiful pieces for human
mhm.
beings to adorn ourselves with.
Yes.
So I love that because I think that speaks to anyone listening who's doubting their creativity. You just got validation from a real live artist who lives at their artwork
Yes.
that anything you're creating is valid art.
Absolutely. I think that we're in a very good time where that expression is a lot more honored and a lot more visible, right? It doesn't have to be, as we say, traditional art. It can be anything.
Mhm.
Planting a garden is creative,
Oh, so much. Yeah.
right? It's creation and organizing it so it looks a certain way. Planting the beds, cooking is all creative. Organizing is creative. Maybe getting this box to that thing. That's all creative because what it is you're doing something new.
Mhm.
That's all. That's all creation is. Putting your chair in this corner is creative
I
because
like
that
that.
chair has never lived in that corner. Let's do something new, right? Let's hang this art over here. Let's like wear this shirt today. Let's do my hair this way. Let's do my makeup this way. Let's try this shoe on. All that's creative.
You might have just inspired me to organize my house better because it's a disaster. Not messy, but it's
Yeah.
typically creative brain clutter. Right. And I'm like, could organizing be creative work?
Oh my God. I love organizing.
Really?
I love organizing. It makes me so happy. Like, once in a while I run into people who are blessed enough to have my time that I will actually support them in decluttering and getting rid of things and organizing and just making it all make sense.
My
I don't
friend
know,
used
might
to
be
help me.
some Virgo something somewhere
Yes.
around me.
I
I
was
don't
going
know.
to say my friend, my very Virgo friend used to help me with that.
Oh, so satisfying. I love it. And then you get to clean, whenever I move, it's such a sacred process
Mhm.
because you get to touch every single thing. And at that moment, when you touch it, you're clear. Oh, I want this. Oh, no, man, whatever, get rid of it. And then you wipe it all down, you put them in the box, you wrap up your breakables, put them in the box, and then you either gonna store it or move it somewhere else. But then when you clean out the whole space, you're just like honoring it and wiping it down and thanking it for the couple months or years that it's supported you, right? There's something in this whole process of living in your home with honor and pride that I always moves me. That's probably why I move a lot, because I really get so much magic and joy out of the process of cleaning up and then starting new and then putting new things out, and then a couple years later wrapping it all up, cleaning up that new space, going to a new space, and then building it all, and then all that, right? There's just something amazing about that.
I've been serious, and I get stuck in the emotion of decluttering. I do
Ah,
get stuck in the emotion of it. I've been going through my storage unit. So when I moved out of my home, our family home, and I started a new life, I put a bunch of stuff in storage.
sure.
And I've been going through that. And it's
Right.
interesting now with that space, what
Yeah.
I thought was really important that isn't anymore.
Mhm. Right.
And then it's really fun to find some of my little magic yummy things that I've put away.
Totally.
And it's interesting because the energy of them is so much different than what I'm living in now. And they need some clearing and some settling.
Mhm.
And some of them are ready to move on to a different
Mhm.
place and be given away,
Mhm.
and are waiting for people to spy them in shiny dishes in my house.
Yeah.
And some of them are so happy to have a new role,
Yeah.
because I had tons of crystals. And then it's interesting, even when you put them back, like I kept like my big rose quartz. So when I put other
Mhm.
crystals back around it, like the vibration, it's just,
Oh, especially the little stones, right?
yeah.
Rocks, they're just so, when I'm in storage right now as well, because my next place, who knows when my next place is showing up, but I told all my rocks and crystals, this was about a year and a half ago, everybody's gonna go into their little box and all go to sleep, and they're fine, right? There's no
Yeah.
big deal. It's rocks and crystals. They don't emote.
They vibe and they
They
zhuzh, but
vibe, but
they
they're
don't
chill.
emote.
They're always chill, whatever. And they've been around millions
Yeah.
of years. Like us humans gotta take life less seriously, right?
Yeah, their year in storage is but a blink to what made them a
Totally.
crystal to begin with. Can you imagine going from
Exactly.
like lava to, or however it happens,
Yeah,
into a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
crystal?
Totally, millions of years.
Yeah.
So going to sleep in a locker for like a year is like, yeah, whatever. So it's really, I'll let them all know, give them all a bath and play, and then, and then once in a while I'll go into the locker and literally I will feel them, because it's kind of right there. And I'll kind of feel a couple go, when are we going back? Where's your new house? Hurry up.
It's funny because I've got, as witches do and wizards do, as we do, I have multiple sizes of crystals, right? But I find some of the most potent ones are those little guys
Mhm,
that you can
mhm.
discreetly put in any pocket, that you can like put all over the place. I
Yeah.
find that really interesting.
Yes. No, absolutely. I mean, I'm used to sorting through even cut stones, right? Stones that have been cut by a human hand, and I'll just be at my supplier and there'll be a mass of like thousands of stones all in their little cases. And suddenly I'll just go, and I'll just like pinpoint and I'll feel it. I'll be like, whoa, what's that? And it's a teeny tiny, it could be a 5 millimeter stone, but
Mhm.
you just feel it, right? You just feel that energy about it. And oftentimes those ones have to come with me. And then I set them into some amazing piece.
Tell me a bit more about the process of making some of your creations.
Oh, I was thinking about that this morning and I thought I was so feeling so grateful that I my business as a goldsmith, silversmith, wizard person is actually really easy, and how it's just I love, spending time in a studio. I love building things. I love making orders. I love, like, I fine tuned it enough, right? I have been a smith for 26 years that I've really fine tuned the kind of things I want to do and the kind of things I don't want to do, and
Mhm.
how I'm clear in communication with people, and how energetically I'm clear so that only those kinds of people are attracted to me and come to me,
Yeah.
find me. I've done enough of that work. I'm really honest, I'm not shy about saying no. When people come to me and go, do you do repairs? I'd be like, nah, only if I want to.
Mhm.
So I'm honest with them, right? And a lot of humans are not comfortable being
No,
really
they're not
honest.
comfortable with honest. They want us to be
Yeah.
polite and accommodating.
Yeah. And it's not so much about them, it's about us.
Mhm.
I'm saying a lot of humans are not comfortable being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to please the other people. No, and then you just sold out on yourself. No wonder that piece is horrible to make, right? It's not a fun process because you sold out on yourself. You said yes at a lower price point. You said yes to a project that doesn't interest you. You said yes to a person who's like, not your frequency and not the same vibe as you.
Mhm.
You did all that for fear, for obligation, for greed, you know, for scarcity, for fear of not making money, all of that stuff, rather than be like, oh, I don't want to do that. No, not fun. Or, yeah, I really want to do that. That's fun.
Mhm.
And those are the only two guidance that we really want to be listening to. Then we're so honest with ourselves.
I like that idea you just said too, that I love how you always like you've got good boundaries around when other people are projecting their garbage on you. Cause like someone who can't accept direct speech, right? Like I have a couple people in my work sphere or in my extended sphere. They're not my close inner people, but I
Sure.
have to interact with them
Yeah, 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 yeah.
that have a real problem with I me statements or when I own my feelings, right? And I'm like, what is like, that's such a toxic person. I haven't taken the moment to flip it and go, oh, they really struggle with self honesty. They really struggle with their own motivation. And that is what's behind it,
Yes.
right? That they don't, they probably have very little, the map of their own emotional landscape is probably very uncharted.
Yeah. It's a little bit limited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is to always be clear. And I find this a very common conversation in the kind of the witchy, spiritual, any of these spheres is that our community tends to fall into that trap of like people doing their things and then showing up a certain way that we may not prefer. Yeah. So what happens is that I notice that we tend to once again then judge others, right? It'll be like, oh, you're just dumping your negative stuff. Oh, right away. Oh, you got all judgy, right? And
Mhm.
that's very common because we will then we'll start to hold that ego status of, I'm more spiritual than you negative, dirty vampire. No, none of that, right? Just allow others to do that thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that process, right? And just let them do that thing. And your job is to be clear whether you want to invite that frequency into your life or not,
Mhm.
rather than judge them. Just say, yeah, yeah, not so much, la 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 la, and do your own thing, and continue holding your own space and being clear about what you want to invite into your life, right? So, um, so when we are clear, and that one of the aspects of being clear is to be clear yourself, right? Be like, yeah, no, I don't want to work with that person.
Mhm.
Not because I don't need to make up any judgments about them or any opinions about them. It's just like, yeah, it doesn't feel right.
Yep.
We're not a
And that's
match.
enough. And that is
It's enough.
enough.
Yeah. We
When
don't
you,
need to say judgy things about them because that's
yeah,
just all you got to work some shit out if you're going to be judging people, right?
right? And you can honor your own boundary, your own I don't want to go there
Yeah.
without being mean to other people.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. It's not
And
my
the
thing.
other
That's all.
piece is you never know, like just because say someone says, oh, I want to work with you, I want to do some spell work with you, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I'm never going to feel it with that human being for the rest of our eternal
Yeah.
time,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right? They could
Right
be
now.
going through some stuff, I could be going through some stuff, and I like to think of it like music, like notes.
Yeah.
Like in some chords you can play an F flat and it sounds beautiful next to a B, or but it doesn't always sound great next to say a high D, right?
Sure.
You got to make sure the music you're putting together and the progression of the sound and the waves work in that moment. In
Yes. Yes.
another song they go together beautifully,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right? And so you just got
No
to,
judgment.
yeah, and you don't have to judge it, you know.
No. Yeah. No. Very good. I like that. I always use an apples and orange distinction,
Hmm.
which is, you're very clear. I like apples. I don't like orange.
Hmm.
That's it. I want to eat more apples. I don't want to eat orange. But
Hmm.
most humans They'll be like, I like apples. I hate orange. Why do you keep always giving me oranges? Oranges are stupid. What's wrong with oranges? Oranges are the black hole of the universe. I hate oranges. They should go away. I want to kill them all. And they're evil and they're bringing me down and they're negative. That's what most humans are doing,
I
right?
know, and it's
Just
just
go, no, no, no,
it's
no
just
orange. I
orange.
eat apple. I happy apple.
And you don't even have to be yay apples. Apples are good. Like you don't even
No,
have
no,
to go
no.
that
You just
far.
be like, yeah, end of story, whatever. Oh, here's an apple. Okay, yeah, whatever, right? Like, no big deal. There's no need to like. That's why I was say it's too complicated. We make life so complicated,
Well, and I think that's why you and I escape to the woods a lot.
right? It's so
Hmm.
simple. You're like, oh, look, cute moss, pet the moss,
Hmm. Oh,
right?
look, I'm cold. Light a fire.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know. Keep it simple. Enjoy the life. But your question once again was actually back to my smithing. I can answer.
Yes, yes, that's where we were. Okay. So tell me more about tell me about that process because I've seen you put beautiful posts up all the time. I've bought and seen so much of your work, but I don't really know about your creative process.
There is a couple creative processes that I have, and you know, there's the practical part of it, right? Which is when I have orders of a specific nature, I'm very clear first of all what are the kind of orders I want to invite, right? The kind of custom orders that I want from people. So because of that clarity, it's no problem. And then I need to create things, and a lot of those things are pretty much
Hmm.
technical executions, which is fine. It's very neutral space for me. I enjoy it. It's easy. And if it's not easy, it's fine. I'm just neutral about, learning new technique as I'm executing it. And then there's I have a large ready to wear collection,
Hmm.
which is, your simple pieces that have been around and sometimes I'll discontinue them. I get tired of them and then I bring them back, whatever. But I like to keep my stock replenished, like full and replenished all the time because I do live events. I'm a Gen X, so I didn't, grow up in business selling product online,
Yeah.
right? You and we learned how to be business people by selling our inventory and our work live in person.
Yes.
And so for me, it works. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy being with people physically to spread the wisdom, to spread the magic, for them to touch and feel and converse and laugh, for me to be sassy, for me to like
Hmm.
leave them in light, at the end of all the interactions. So that's what I love. So there's always that amount of work that's fairly easy to just once again replenish and build. And then and all of the time, any of these collections are always inspired, and it could take a while for it to finally land, and or it could be simply an image that comes through. For example, the Galactica series or the Magical Symbols series.
Hmm.
They're all symbology, and you have one of my magical symbols.
I have an empower ring that I
Oh, okay, you have the
love.
empire. You don't
That's
have an.
my no.
You
I
don't
haven't
have
been
an.
wearing jewelry, love. It's so weird. I wear that ring and that's it.
That's great. That's great. So the which one?
Yes.
Empowering was another series. So, but for example, the Galactica series and the Magical Symbols series, those are all images because I think in shapes and symbols and colors, um, images just come to me.
Hmm.
So once I start figuring it out, what these images actually mean, and I don't know why, but I just know this. It's just something I grew up understanding what symbols mean. And then when you look at all sorts of, sacred geometry, science on earth, and or elemental science, alchemy, runic, and kind of interpretations, it's all the same. And I always double check the
Yeah.
information that I know I'm getting, I'm receiving, and then we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right?
Hmm.
Part of being a smith is of course knowing the message I am conveying and then being able to build it technically.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, I have this image, I'm just gonna draw it and there it is. Now be like, oh, I have this image of symbology. Now, how do I build that
Hmm.
so that it has integrity? So it
Hmm.
isn't gonna fall apart and break off and all of
Hmm.
that. It's gonna be efficient to build on a restocking model, which means I can rebuild this
Yeah.
efficiently for this price point that I'm willing to sell it at.
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of things to consider when I build something that's a repeat, a ready to wear collection, which means I will be rebuilding it, rebuilding it, rebuilding it.
Hmm.
So there's that collection. So a lot of things just happen naturally, in my brain. I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you. But what is always beautiful is when it's inspired and channeled through. So for
Yes.
example, the beginning of this year or end of last year, something said, Tien, go look into astrology. I was like, okay, fine. And I'm very good at listening now. So for example, that deck of cards
Yes.
to be published was an amazing example of listening to source, right? Because I literally know that one day, I think it was 2019, I was walking down the stairs in my gym gear, clear, I was going to go to the gym. And then after that, I was going to pull out my paperwork and spend 3 days or, 3 days, 2 days doing my PST, right?
Hmm.
For my taxes, my provincial sales taxes. So that was my plan. And when right before that, for a couple of weeks, I'd get occasional glimpses of certain symbols would come in my dreams, and it would just show up right just in my alternate reality visual space. And as I was walking down the stairs, suddenly it just came to me and said, "You have to do your drawings now." And I was like, "Oh, really? I have to go to the gym and I've got to do my PSD. It's due next week. Really?" And then I said, okay, fine. So because I'm so used to listening to the
Yes,
channeled guidance, as you understand,
I
right?
do.
I just did. I didn't go. I went back upstairs, took my sweats off, went back down, set up the room, set up the table, and I didn't know what it was I was dream thinking. I had no idea what was going to come through because I'm so used to trusting the process
Hmm.
and just trusting that, okay, if I'm guided to do this, I'm just going to set up the space to do it. And whatever is going to come will come.
Yes.
That is part of my own life experience as a pioneer in so many, so many ways. I'm used to carving out my own path with no maps, no guidance, no one's telling me how I'm going to do it, what's going to happen, if I'm going to make it, if I'm going to die, if I'm going to be well, if I'm going to be,
Yeah.
if I'm going to have money, like any of that. I don't know. I just go. And so with the same with the jewelry, right? So that one was a fantastic example of listening. And when I listened, I had 100 drawings out in 4 days.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was fast. And then the words were just like easy. And the deck was just done and printed on draft within like 2 weeks.
Nice. And now
So
that's just holding in space
yeah,
until the information comes in that now it's to go out into the world.
exactly. Yeah,
It's primed, the universe primed everything. Those who need to receive it will receive it.
yeah.
I buy all your decks because I love them.
I know them. They're
Uh,
great. And the other elemental card deck was another same one, right? Because I was
yeah.
told, go do this. And then and I didn't, I packed it all, packed up my equipment, took out a cabin in the woods, and I did those drawings in 3 weeks because they were much more detailed, graphic marker and coloring
Mm,
drawings with a lot of interior design drafting because I'm an
yeah.
interior designer, right? Like drafting lines and stuff like that, right? So its production was a little bit more complex, but I had no idea what I was going to draw. No idea at all. I just brought like 5 of my basic books, my
Mhm.
marker pens, my drafting board, my scale, my da 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 da, and then my candle, my crystals. And I said, okay, cabin. And then the first day, I just chilled. I watched some videos, whatever, took a walk, made the fire. And then suddenly it said now. And then that night, it said now. And I was like, okay. So I just went to the board and then things come, right? Same with the jewelry. So when I listen, so that deck was produced and created in a month.
Wow.
3 weeks to do the drawings and then 1 week to do the text, and it was printed and delivered and ready for sale in like 6 months. The rest of it was all just editing, my my
That's
my English
amazing.
editor cleaning up my English, getting the printer, all of that.
So I've got half of a deck pen. I can't even remember what I've penned out, but because I know I'm going to do a tarot deck. I've known that for 100 years.
Like a full 78
Yeah,
78 cards deck.
yeah.
Wow, with your artwork.
Well, I don't draw well, so I
Okay.
have an idea of, well, I get downloads, right?
Yeah,
So
of course
usually,
you would.
me, in the bubble bath. That's where I do most of my work in the
For
water
sure. Okay.
element, right?
Yeah, water
So,
element.
and I'll just get downloads and I'll kind of like my sketches are not are like stickmen sketches, but I had like concepts of the colors and how the energy is going to move in the card. So
Fantastic.
a lot of that came about 2 years ago.
Great.
And I just like, okay. And then they stopped coming. And I was like, that's okay. I know
Yeah.
this deck will happen. So I have a client that I've been reading for years, and she's in printing. And she's like, out of nowhere, she's like, hey, are you going to do a deck? Because I could get you cardstock. And I'm like, okay, I just need to pick a date now. And so I kind of have a rough date in my mind, because for me, the way the process works is I tend to work really well in community. I like to bounce with people.
Yes.
So the goddess or source, whatever you want to call the divine world, will just start bringing the people in.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, this is a gross analogy, but it's almost like they pick the scab that's been healing. Like something's been kind of there, a little bit itchy. Someone comes in and picks it. I'm like, oh, it's time to do that work now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I understand.
And usually for me, the deep work is attached to a healing thread. I think that's why I say a scab, right? But
Okay.
yeah, so I know that's coming. So that's, I love hearing about how you create your decks. Like you just go boom.
Yeah, boom, done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all, and the same with the jewelry, because end of last year, something said, go look at astrology. And I was like, okay. And I've looked at it before. I know some of it, but I've never really gone into it.
Mhm.
And so it began that process. So in January, because I'm not a study forever person.
Yeah, and I need the world to give me, I need the universe to give me a really good astrologer, because I just know the basics and I don't know it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
have
Yeah, I can set
no
you up.
desire to study it. Like I know so much other esoteric information that I'm
Yeah,
just
I can
like,
help you out with that for sure.
someone else can do that part.
Yeah, yeah. Me too. I had no interest, right? And then it came through, and I was like, okay, fine. So I got a book from a mutual friend, Lynn.
Yeah.
She gave me this great book, which was awesome because it was like A to Z.
Oh, nice.
So it was just a great way to just kind of read. And if I get bored, and then I'll skip through, whatever, right? So there was that. And so I read a little, but then as I was reading, and then I went online, I just listened to somebody and I read a little because I don't learn by reading.
Yeah, me neither.
I learn by visual and doing. So as I was reading a little, then suddenly all these, like it was like a cloud,
Wow.
like a steam cloud. I can't, it's like a floating Milky Way energy. That's what it felt like. It just kind of
Wow.
came through, and it didn't formulate anything. And I was in my studio at that point when I was doing some reading, and suddenly I went, oh, and then I went, oh, oh, and then I started like building things. So I started drawing out the symbols, and then I was like, oh, and then I had to research like some of the stamps and the symbols. And then I quickly just ordered a couple of them.
Hmm.
And I ordered some things and I built some things and I went, and as I started building them, some of the stamps started coming in. And then I started building the collections. And as the collections started getting built, I started understanding
Mm.
what this is and what is that sign and then the house and then I was like, oh my god, it was so much because there's so a lot of depth to it, right? So
There is. And
I wasn't interested. Yeah.
what I'm hearing, it was the process of playing with it and using different things and doing things with it in the studio that
Yes.
solidified the understanding around it that had kind of been hovering in that Milky Way cloud.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, because that's when it came through. And then I just let myself be guided because I'm so practiced at that now,
Hmm.
which is just go with it.
Hmm.
And then it just went from this, and suddenly I'm like, bending the wire and soldering that and cutting the disc, and suddenly I'm like, oh, I'll just go to the laptop and look and read and about what's the first house mean? Oh yeah, right. And then I'll look at the book and, and then suddenly I'm like soldering this and polishing that because I'm just going with the flow. It doesn't make sense, not planned, and it's an amazing process because then the wisdom just comes through at the pace that it comes through at that really works best, right, for our own integration and understanding.
And your monkey mind is out of the picture, the ego
Out of the picture.
out of the picture, and it can just flow.
Exactly. Monkey mind is always the one that takes you out because it's saying stupid things like, I have no time. Why is this is not going to make me any money? What's the point? I don't know how to do it. Basically, monkey mind, the brain, as long as it says something that's dumb, Never listen to it.
I know. I that or fear-based and judgy. That's the
But
other
that's
one.
all dumb.
Yeah. So you just like that's all dumb. We just call that dumb.
Let's just call it simple. One thought makes you really happy. It's very simple. And then the other thought is really stupid. Doesn't make you happy, makes you, and all in that group of doesn't make you happy is like fearful, scarcity, stuck in the past, blamey, judgy, hating yourself, insecure, all of those thoughts. Don't listen to any of
No, they're not going
that.
to lead you anywhere beautiful and wonderful and fulfilling.
Yeah, it's gonna lead you down some stupid hole and
That you'll stay in
and then
comfortably.
you'll get stuck there and life will
Like
go.
Alice. This is so good. I love this. So I didn't know what we were going to talk about because you're so diverse and I love you
I
so
know,
much.
right?
And I think our topic is creativity and flow,
So great. I love it.
right?
Absolutely. And we have to listen because a lot of people take themselves out and they have excuses upon
Yeah.
excuses not to do things.
Could you imagine how beautiful a world we would live in if people just said yes to
Yeah.
themselves, to what
Yeah.
they love, to what they
Totally.
want to pursue?
We'd be happy.
Oh, so much suffering would be alleviated.
Oh my God, because they're not listening to themselves. They're busy doing stupid things that they don't want to do. And sure, everybody has a different life,
Mhm.
right? You have your kids. Some people have crying babies right now. Some people are in the middle of like leaving the relationship finally. Some people have been kicked out of their country. Whatever. Everybody has their reality. Some people are sick, whatever, right? But our commitment, whatever your reality is, our commitment is to ensure that we are like moving forward and creating what we want next. Because my own life with Phoenix,
Yes,
Phoenix
we've
Rising.
yeah, we've had our Phoenix stuff, you and I,
Yeah, right? Well, we
right?
chose to stick around, right?
We did. We
Yeah.
chose to keep on breathing and to get up. I mean, today I'm still in my bed while we do this, but I'm here.
We love being in bed.